Hack squat. Now, the hack squat is one of those machines that are absolutely amazing and absolutely terrible. They're amazing because they're good machines. They're terrible because people get in them and do them completely bad and wrong. So we're gonna watch Tom Platz and see if we can take some, some techniques from here and optimize your hack squats.
It's almost like a squat. It's not like a sissy squat. And the movement is not up in the air. It's very basic. And you push from your toes, transfer the weight to your heels, and flex. Down on toes, heels, flex.
So Tom Platz was a huge knee over toe guy. Now, when he was bodybuilding, you gotta understand, he's a bodybuilder. So a lot of times bodybuilders back then were trying to find better or more optimal ways to grow their physique or build certain parts of their body. Now, when it comes to squatting for him, you could tell the way, just looking at how his legs, of how much his vastus medialis, his vastus lateralis, like the entire leg is actually full. He did a lot of different techniques where his feet would be completely close like this, toes out, and then on the way down, really pushing through the toes, because if you do put pressure on your toes, you're gonna get a lot of activation in that interior part of your leg. More so your VMO or your teardrop, right? Now, what he's saying going down and up, I don't recommend doing that at all, but I still recommend doing it in a way where you have support on your heel. Now, doing this with squat shoes is good because you still wanna push with your heels and your toes. He's doing something specific to hit his quads a little differently. So we're gonna watch the rest and see more of what he does.
Progressed over the years and experimented, I should say. I decided that I wanted to try something different to change the look and the inherent qualities of my muscle development in my lower body. I believe in going down, at this point, stretching as far as you can, pushing up.
Now, for you guys who have probably seen someone doing it, they're most likely probably a woman. Some people have taken this technique and put it into their actual plans. I don't recommend doing this whatsoever. The problem is that you're watching somebody who's been able to adapt to something, who's tried a lot of things out over time, over years. It's like, what's necessary? Is this necessary to create better quads? No, not at all. Not even close. Once your knee is flexed, you don't have to push any more onto that to get more flexion. It's already completely flexed. So to drive your knee out even more and to even hyperextend your back is 100% useless. You do not need to do that. You can just control your weight down more and then drive up slower. If you want to really get the quads burning or any muscle burning, start to play with your concentric or your positive. If you're going 2 seconds down, go 2 seconds up. Trust me on that. If you think about it, on the way down from a squat, it's basically glutes, hamstrings. On the way up from a squat, half squat, whatever, your quads are doing enough to press the weight away because you're doing knee extension to stand up. So what do? Just make sure the extension part is prolonged a little more. So you're just basically having a longer concentric instead of driving it up really quick. This is unnecessary and actually pretty dangerous. Now, I'm not taking away from his success doing it. It's worked for him. Remember that. It has worked for him, not you, him. So just stick to the basics before we start doing this kind of stuff. I'm just seeing my patella just, boom, there goes my patella. Now, we're not staying on this, but in order to do this, you gotta understand how strong he is. Now, there's not much weight on the bar. I don't think there's any weight on there at all, but he does load up. I've seen him actually load this weight up. But again, you gotta understand how strong he is through his erectors, his lats, his posterior chain is extremely strong to be able to do this often, and for years, he's still doing it, and he's like in his 60s. It's nuts.
Fibers everywhere.
Just the development, his quads are ridiculous. You gotta think about this, guys. He's in a seminar with a good amount of people in there. Back then, there's not all the crazy information out there, so you're really gonna get that from him. You're not gonna be able to see, hey man, did you see Tom Platz's leg camp? No, I didn't. Well, I mean, it was on YouTube. It didn't happen then. It was like you either were there or you weren't, and then if it didn't come out in VHS, you never saw it. You heard about it, or someone wrote about it. So those people there are looking at him like, hey man, this is good, I'm gonna do this, right? And then you have knee problems, and then people start saying squatting gives me knee problems or whatever else. I'm not saying it stemmed from him. I'm just saying that's what happens to impressionable people when they look at certain people already successful with something, do a movement that they haven't done before, and be like, hey, this worked for me, and you're like, hey, it'll work for me too. It won't. It's for them, not you. I'll say it 1,000 times. So He starts off with just unbelievable basic fundamentals for you guys to understand. Look, this guy's massive. Look at his legs. I'm gonna use lighter weight first so I can feel it. That's your approach when you go into any lift, is I'm going to lift this efficiently. I'm gonna use a weight that I can be efficient. And then I increase the weight until I'm not efficient. But you don't wanna lighten the load just so you can do the rep. We still wanna exhaust. So he's doing a lot of reps because the weight is really light, right? So he's gonna do a ton of reps. And I mean a ton like 20, 30 reps. So when you're looking at this, take out the good stuff, the stuff that you've heard a lot of us say when you're looking at other videos. What have other good YouTubers said about XYZ, and what has been consistent along with other coaches? You know what I mean? That's the best way I would say when you're looking for information online before you're like, I don't know what to look at. This guy says do this guy says do that. Find the consistencies in each of the YouTubers that you follow that are good at what they do.
Up here. But I feel very much still I can contract the muscle.
Full extension, absolutely awesome.
High.
So this technique is basically like a full-on, this is a full-on movement. Now, if you look at this machine, old school, the actual seat is on a little bit of an incline. So it's forcing you to get up and even higher. That's gonna put a lot more emphasis on your hip flexors too. So this machine's already in a place where you got no choice but to get all the way up. And at that point, you're really engaging your TVA, your core, which is what we wanna do. This guy's light years ahead of what he's been doing back then to what people are actually doing now. These are some easy things that anyone can take from now and learn and be better at just doing leg extensions. Now again, I would 100% control the weight more, right? And there you go.
Tension.
Yeah.
Tension.
Now you're doing this, right?
Now push down. Pump it. Boom, boom. Higher. Bring it up. Let go. Push down again. Push down again. Pump it hard. Fast. Okay.
If I go to the gym and see anybody doing this, I can't stop laughing. Yo, look, this is just a different way of doing partials. He could have easily and again, this is before partials. This is before all these other different kind of, rep techniques are in place. These guys are trying to find things from the beginning and, evolving fitness. But this is not necessary. You can easily just do what he was already doing and then start doing some partial reps. He's basically doing partials with added assistance. Now for you or anybody, this is like, all right, one more, boom, there goes your freaking patella tendon over there and your MCL's over here and you're puking over there. There's no need to do that. But again, you're just seeing what type of mentality these guys had back in the day. They had to find out what worked on their own and find different techniques to stimulate muscle growth or stimulate whatever muscle they're targeting. They're just learning as they go. And this is his technique that he found out. Now, can you argue with him when you see the guy's legs? You can't. But how much of his training made his legs that big? Like, put it this way. In all that we've seen so far, how much of the extra added on to the size of his legs? Could he have just did partials, slow things down a little bit more? Now, as time went, science, when it comes to training, I've been in the gym since 11 years old. A lot has changed since I've been in the gym, and that's coming from being coached and being a coach myself. Techniques, fundamentals have changed drastically. So when it comes to this, he's already ahead of the game. He's just trying to find something else. Is it necessary for you to do? No, it is not.
Damn.
And then they're like, woo! I think it's awesome. Like, these people are like, man, this guy's crazy. Like, you ever see that? I guarantee you, but I would say at least like 10% of the people at that muscle camp are in the gym the next day being like, yo, I gotta do those ones that he's doing. You're freaking following around. Jesus Christ. Even then, guys, you have to look at the base of what everyone's saying. To be honest, even the bad YouTubers out there, there's a base to what everyone says that is completely consistent. It's when people trying to go off the rails, when they run out of material and they're like, here's a new technique. Like, if this was like now, this would be like, Tom Platz would be like, I ran out of things to talk about for training. Let's do this. Instead of doing partials, this is a better way to freaking do it. I'm not saying he would, because this guy's a different breed. I'm just saying, nowadays you get people who have your basic information. They start off with great channels. They're saying the most basic stuff that works. And then they run out of material and all of a sudden they're adding in things that are just useless, right? Now let's go to hamstrings.
Perform very few sets. I like and prefer to approach the leg curl in a very lightweight initially. Usually 50 pounds. I'll get on there and go very slowly, get a full extension, a full contraction.
Now, here's a good point. When it comes to doing hamstrings, building your hamstrings, I found I had the best connection and the best growth when I literally pulled the weight back and just focused on contracting that muscle. It's used a lot in certain movements where, squatting, lunging, obviously your leg movements and whatnot. But when it comes to connecting with it, in order to really isolate your hamstring, we have to really have a good muscle-mind connection and engage your core, driving your hips onto the bench so we can really engage our quads, so we can really engage our hamstrings. The problem is most people when they do it, they're already using weight that's too heavy, their butt comes off the bench, and they're kind of using a little more momentum to get it up. When you want to actually use that weight, especially, put it this way guys, when you do bicep curls on a preacher curl, right? You're doing preacher curl. You don't have to use a lot of weight. You can just really slow the weight down and lightweight and squeeze. If you look at a hamstring curl machine is basically like a preacher curl for your legs. Now, I mean, the hamstring is called your bicep femoris, the bicep on your femur. It does the same type of thing. Knee flexion, your bicep is elbow flexion. Same idea when it comes to doing a bicep, same thing when it comes to doing a bicep curl. And when you're sitting in the preacher curl, making sure your back arm's flat on the pad and you can press in to make sure your shoulders aren't rolling up and doing this. That would be similar to the same thing doing a hamstring curl where you're making sure that your hips and your quads stay exactly on that pad so we have nothing but knee flexion. We're not trying to bring in our hips when you're laying on your face, right? Let's keep going. Full range of motion. You can see his hips are completely on the bench.
I'm just testing the machine.
There you go. Come on. Let's do this. Fast, let's go. Get it.
Stop. Now push down the machine. Grab the machine and push down, and I'll fight. Push harder. Harder! Come on! Harder! Keep on.
Love that.
Good.
Yo, let me tell you what that is. And I'll tell you exactly what that is, okay? And it happens to all of us. Any guys out there who know, who've been enhanced, body build, there is that certain time in the rep where it just switches over to like insane mode. And like the pump is so extreme and you like it, especially for hamstrings. I love a hamstring pump. I don't know why I love a hamstring pump so much, but I love hamstring pump. But literally, you get in the zone where you just go like animal and you're like, and you just go, it's the testosterone. Just comes up, he's got a bunch of people around him, his adrenaline's going, he's gotta perform. He's going AWOL. Like literally, I know exactly what that feels like. I'm like that switch when I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. I know exactly when that is in your rep. That's really sometimes when it comes to more guys that are enhanced. It's that extra gear you get that when you should be failing for most people, you have that extra gear to go that.
You can even keep going for up to 10 times longer.
Extra gear, yeah. But when we're talking about his assisting or spotting, he's spotting the negative, he's spotting the contraction, right? So he can control the negative. So when I'm always spotting somebody, I always wanna make sure that they can continue the contraction so they can get the negative, right? I try and get people to focus on the concentric part of the contraction. So when they're failing, I wanna help them up and then let them control it down, right? What he could have done, same thing, help up, and then you could do force reps on the way down. Now, when it comes to you guys spotting each other, spot to the tempo the person's actually going. Your body doesn't know you're getting spot. You consciously do. Your body just knows that you're still the knee flexion, right? So when you're doing this, it's good to exhaust that way to get those extra reps. But again, there's a point where you're just like kicking a dead horse. And literally, man, I shouldn't even say that. Shoot, I'm not trying to get canceled on this channel. Don't kick a dead horse. You know what I'm saying, right?
No, it ain't always easy when Mother Nature's work.
It's unnecessary, right? There's a point where you guys gotta know when it's time to pack it in and go home. Training's done, go home.
What's wrong with you? Die!
And basically that's it. But when it comes to the fundamentals and whatnot he's talking about, phenomenal. Keep your hips on the bench, using a lighter weight for better mind and muscle connection, controlling the weight. Obviously he's got a 7th gear in there, so, and probably on 7 gears.
Bazinga!
But again, This stuff is phenomenal to watch. I recommend literally going back to some of the old bodybuilders and just listening to some of the cues they've given. Those are cues that are coming straight from experimenting on themselves. They don't get to go to the internet, YouTube, whatever to get information. They literally gotta trial and error. This is all trial and error. And that's what's so motivating and inspiring about it, because you guys all now don't have to trial and error anything. You guys got all the information you want at your fingertips. It's where you find your information that's the most important. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, this is pretty cool to watch. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna do more of these old school bodybuilders. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share. You know, to come out with that tell like it is, transparent, vulnerable truth. For coaching, johnashreeve.net. If you want to know about coaching, book a 15 or 30-minute consult. At the end of the consult, guys, if you want to go with training, whether it's reoccurring or just a one-time plan, I deduct the phone consult off any package you pick. Guys, use my code Johnny15 for 15% off the Power 13 cookbook. Get those damn delicious recipes. Get them, Johnny15. Anyway, guys, follow me on Instagram at _JohnnySheaf_. Send me your training clips and I'll repost it, guys. Anyway, guys, you know how it is. Iron sharpens iron. Progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.